Okay, welcome back. Brand new Sarah Fraser show. Of course, I'm Sarah. Welcome in to my daily pop culture pod. Thrilled that you are here. There are thousands of us worldwide, and we have a lot to catch up on. Of course, there is Sister Wives news. We are going to discuss which Sister Wives cast member has announced a really serious cancer diagnosis. We're going to get into that. Also, if you followed the case of Bryan Kohberger, the nut job in Idaho who killed those 4 roommates. There's a new docu-series that is out about him and the roommates. There's a new book coming, which apparently is going to shed a lot of light for the very first time on why Bryan Kohberger may have committed these murders, okay, which is a mystery. You know, he ended up pleading guilty after 2 years of saying he was innocent. Now I could look at that man and tell you guilty AF. He weird as hell. Somebody on social media said Bryan Kohberger is like if the heebie-jeebies were a person. And I'm like, you nailed it. You only have to look at his ass to know he is spooky. All right. Anyhow, very fascinating news that is coming out. In addition to the book, the docu-series actually is already out, and that is also shedding light on why the 2 surviving roommates, so there were 6 in the house at the time, waited hours and hours. The 4 roommates were murdered around 4:30 in the morning, and then the 2 other roommates did not call 911 until about 11 a.m. after contacting friends that lived down the street. So there's some new kind of information as to why they waited so long. This case is just really creepy. I mean, I'm not really fascinated with it so much as it's horrific for the families. The families have been so beautiful and strong in speaking out. And I think it's one of those cases where it's so frightening because what are the chances that something like this would happen? True nightmare. So we're going to get into that. And then, of course, if you're watching Love Island, lots of updates. The finale, we have 2 winners. Oh, Lord, we got people canceled. Oh my God. And the cancellation is so bad. She's getting death threats. Her family's getting death threats. So, and we now have a reunion date if you are a Love Island fan. We're going to talk about that. But I briefly want to say, apparently I scared the crap out of you guys by going on vacation for the 4th of July and not announcing it. And I had so many messages in my inbox, which I love. I'm like so grateful. And I guess I didn't even think about this, but so many of you have said, wait a minute, is everything okay with you and baby? What is going on? You dropped off the face of the earth. You went social media silent. We ain't heard a peep from you, girl. What is happening? Okay, let me catch you up. If you're new here, I'm 43, young 40 queen. And I just did an egg donor transfer to have my second baby after having, well, I've had 4 miscarriages total. I actually consider it 5 because my last one was twins, but the one twin never developed. Anyhow, so I've had 4 miscarriages and 1 very successful, very healthy pregnancy. And now I'm having a second very healthy, very successful pregnancy. Did an egg donor transfer now 3 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago, and gave the great news, and it's on social media, that we are pregnant. It worked. My HCG level after 2 weeks and a 5-day embryo transfer was 2,092, which they tell me is very good. Very, very good. Single baby in there. I went in right before I went for vacation, like July 3rd. They saw a sac. Tomorrow I will go in for heartbeat and check up and make sure everything is good. But I'm so sorry to scare you. Everything is fine. So many sweet messages. You guys were like, are you okay? I feel like something happened. No, everything has been really good. So what's went down or what has gone down since I went in for the transfer and got the good news is they tested my thyroid. I think it's elevated. So it's 2.8. When you're pregnant, they want it under 2. So I think mine is, I don't know if they consider that high or low, but I'm on thyroid medication, which I will say bummed me out for a minute because I've never had thyroid issues. I hate taking medications. I think you always worry when you're on any type of medication and you're pregnant, like, is this going to have a side effect on the baby? What's happening here? So that was the only kind of thing that I had to manage. And they were like, rest. And I will tell you, I'm having sort of 2 things going on. Hard for me to slow down. You probably recognize that from listening to this podcast. Mhm. Mhm. Girl, I actually have people message me and they're like, I don't even have to listen to you on double speed. You go so fast, bitch. I'm like, I know. So slowing down is a challenge, which I did do a lot of over the 4th of July. And then I think the other thing is, and I'm sure so many of you can relate to this, but it is really hard to get in the mind space of being positive about your pregnancy when you've had so many losses. And I just had my most recent miscarriage in March at 9 weeks. That baby those were twins. One like never developed at all. The other one passed away at like 9 weeks, had Turner syndrome, had Down syndrome. The doctor was like, you need to thank God, your lucky stars, that this baby did not, go all the way. So, anyhow, so I think the hardest part right now is just settling in, is taking a deep breath and saying, okay, first of all, this is a 26-year-old egg. It ain't your dusty ass 43-year-old eggs that, by the way, served me very well for many years. Thank you to my uterus and my fallopian tubes and all dem eggs. It brought me my love of my life, KJ. But I am that person over 40 where dem eggs, they don't work. Okay. The elevator doesn't go all the way to the top with mine. All right. So the hardest part is, and I'm not sure if anyone that's ever used an egg donor feels this way. I really believe it's my egg. I'm actually so delusional. I don't even believe it's like an egg donor egg, which my acupuncturist is like, this is fabulous. He's like, great news. Keep being delusional. However, I actually think I have to remind myself, no, it's a 26-year-old egg, 17 years younger, sister, than what you were doing before. That's helpful. That's helpful. And and right off the bat, like I am having none of the same experiences that I've had with these other pregnancies. The other pregnancies from the start, I had brown discharge, bleeding, tissue every time I peed, like going to the bathroom. My hips oddly tingled and ached every night when I laid down. I had nausea that could not be even like the C-bands wouldn't fix the nausea. And the nausea was like, from the beginning, like from like week 2. Then I would have what else? With this pregnancy, it's so different already. And I'm only probably 7 weeks along, I guess, at this point. So, because I have days like I feel great. I don't feel anything, which, they tell me is like kind of normal because it's pretty early. And then I did have, when I was on vacation in Michigan, a day of like, ooh, I feel really queasy. And then right now, we just kind of got back to LA, getting back into my routine, and I'm feeling like a little queasy. So, and I've definitely felt super tired. These other pregnancies I had, I didn't really feel that tired. So just so many different symptoms than what I'm experiencing. This feels like a healthy pregnancy, like what I had with KJ. So I will keep you posted every step of the way. I will let you know I'm going to take another vacation sometime this summer. I'll keep you posted on that. So you're not like, what happened? Where did she go? But I intend to share my experience throughout this whole process. I'm so happy to do an egg donor. I have no regrets. Like I said, if anything, I actually have to, in a healthy way, tell myself, okay, take a deep breath. This egg is healthy. This embryo grew 5 days, like super egg. These embryologists see eggs all the time. And in fact, they discarded these other eggs that weren't developing correctly, implanted the healthiest egg. It stuck. Your first HCG level was fantastic. So, like, settle in, take a deep breath. Like, everything is going to work out. So, that's been the hardest part. But I was up in northern Michigan with my family. Schman, is from West Bloomfield, Michigan. I have become a Michigander by marriage. I love it there. It's beautiful. We go up to the Suttons Bay area every single summer and spend time in Traverse City. It's just heaven on earth. So I went up to a place called Fountain Point Resort. Highly recommend it. I will tell you this. There's not great internet. and like when you're in your cabin, which by the way, the cabins are like 100 years old. So it's amazing, but you are off the grid. So, honeys, I couldn't even respond to I didn't even look at your messages until I got back to West Bloomfield like yesterday. So I didn't even know people were concerned. That's terrible. I left you guys on red for like 10 days, was up there, no internet, no cell service. And there you have it. Okay. So it was great. I highly recommend it. Some of my favorite things to do in Sutton's Bay. I went to Refuge Salon. I got a blowout. Like you're thinking, okay, you went all the way to Michigan and that's what you did. Fountain Point Resort, stay there. We just like sat at the beach. It was unbelievable. Sleeping Bear Dunes, do a hike. I did not participate this year, but it's one of my favorite things to do. The wineries up there are unbelievable. Did not really attend any, of course, because I'm pregnant. Nine Bean Row, amazing breakfast sandwiches, unbelievable pastries. You need to put that on your list. Go. The food is so delicious. Went to Farm Club, amazing spot. Go there for like beautiful outdoor winery, all organic food that they grow there. Just some highlights. Okay, let's talk pop culture. We are back. I'm going to have all new episodes for you all week long, including, of course, podcaster David Yontif, who will be here with a lot of news about Erica Jane, Tom Girardi. EJ appears to be going to trial. We'll talk about that later this week. If she knew where the $25 million that Tom gave her to launch her career came from, like she is set to go to trial now in February. We're going to talk about that and a lot more. So let's start with Sister Wives, where we always start. This was big while I was away. Sister Wives star Jen Sullivan, who is Mary's bestie and who has been on this podcast, announced over the 4th of July week while I was away that her husband has been battling a pretty serious form of sarcoma. Her husband, Sean, was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive cancer. She posted a poignant selfie onto her grid page alongside a detailed essay on his treatment and the effect it has on her life. She wrote, "This photo was taken on our 19th anniversary, just before Sean began treatment for sarcoma, a rare and aggressive cancer. Since February, he's undergone 5 weeks of radiation and 2 major surgeries, including the removal of a third tumor that had grown unnoticed just outside the radiation area. Sean's recovery has been long and painful, but he's slowly gaining strength and getting back to the shop when he can, and we appreciate your patience with our adjusted hours. We've kept this close so our kids could finish the school year without added worry, but we have helped them to feel confident that we are on a good path and now have decided to share publicly." So Mary is also posting continuously on her page a GoFundMe for Jen. But Mary has said specifically only to donate to the GoFundMe that is on her page and nowhere else, because there's a fake Jen Sullivan. This is crazy. There's a fake Jen Sullivan donation going around. So don't do that. For those reaching out wanting to contribute to support Jen and her family, please don't get scammed on Venmo. There are already fake accounts being created. We will not send you a Venmo link asking for your donation. There is one real Venmo account. Always check extra spaces and punctuation. It's the little things that get overlooked that scammers depend on. The only Venmo account for Jen's family fundraiser is screenshotted on Mary's Instagram, if you would like to go there. And it's at Sullivan-Family 2006. But please go to Mary's actual Instagram and spot which Venmo it is. And then if you would like to donate to Jen and her family, boom, go to it. So very sad news to hear. Obviously, Jen's become kind of like a big fan favorite on the show. And I think we'll be seeing a lot more of her in season 20. She's also an incredible entrepreneur. She and Mary are business partners, besties, working on Worthy Up. They're obviously going to launch a podcast, Salty Birches, but I think it goes without saying they have a ton going on. So we'll look for that upcoming. But anyway, Jen, you're in our prayers. I love Jen. She was on this pod. She was so sassy. She's such a great friend. It's like a Gail and Oprah to me when I see those two. Very good. Very close. All right, let's talk about Bryan Kohberger, who, thank God, is in jail for 4 consecutive life sentences, but It's really not long enough. And I was sort of looking forward to in Idaho, they brought back the firing squad as a way to execute people. I was looking forward to that, hoping that they were going to execute him and we could all like pay per view and watch. Not going to happen. He pled guilty after 2 years of saying that he was innocent. But a new book is coming out, and then we'll talk about a docuseries that's already out. So, a new book is set to lift the veil of secrecy that's been around the Bryan Kohberger case and a potential motive for the very first time as to why Bryan Kohberger brutally murdered 4 roommates. Best-selling author, you all know who he is, James Patterson, and investigative reporter Vicky Ward have teamed up for a new book that has been released this week called The Idaho 4, An American Tragedy. The book, of course, you can buy Amazon, anywhere books are sold. And it not only poses a potential motive, but also sheds light on Kohberger's life before the killings and follows multiple points of view of the timeline of the crime that sent shockwaves through Moscow and skyrocketed to national attention. Also, many of the family members support this book. They feel that this book has told their children's story intimately, deeply, truthfully. So the families are also supportive of this book, if you had any question about that. So Patterson goes on to say roommates Maddie Kaylee, oh God, how do I say, oh my gosh, Xana, Anna, and her boyfriend Ethan were all stabbed to death, of course, at the off-campus home. But Patterson and Ward, for the very first time after conducting 300 interviews, now believe that Maddie was actually the target. There's a consensus that Maddie was Kohberger's person that he initially wanted to murder. All the victims' families, I think, would agree that that is where it begins. Moscow police allege that Kohberger's cell phone records show his phone appeared to be close to the victim's house on at least 12 occasions between August and the night of the actual murders. The book described what it calls a recurring nightmare. The victim's friend, Emily Alden, and had after the murders, Alden said she imagined that the now admitted killer went to the restaurant where Maddie worked, expressed romantic interest in her, and was rejected, prompting him to retaliate. When friends are told that the guy who murdered their friends is this guy, Bryan Kohberger, they don't recognize his photo. They can't put it together, Ward said. That's when Emily said the only explanation that she and her boyfriend Hunter could come up with is the story that we all tell as the story of her dream that Bryan Kohberger targeted Maddie, that she doesn't know the exact details, but that's the best guess. So prosecutors said that Maddie was the first of the 4 killed. A knife sheath with Kohberger's DNA is the reason that he was actually found. And of course, the book goes on to talk about, which has kind of been out there for a while, the Kohberger, who was a criminologist himself and had training in this department, would have gotten away with the perfect crime had he not left the knife sheath. In the wake of the shocking crime, as police searched for a suspect, one of the key sources of information was a surviving roommate, Dylan, who told friends, including Alden, what she saw the night of the murders. It was really through Emily that we learned of what sort of roommate Dylan had gone through, Ward said. It sounded so surreal to them because she said he had a black mask and he looked like he was carrying a black vacuum. And they're sitting there thinking, who could this be? What on earth happened? Kohberger, of course, was arrested 7 weeks after the murders, and he's been sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences on the first-degree murder count. So anyhow, there you go. If you're interested in the book, it sets to go into more details, and some of the family members do support it. But it looks like Maddie may have been the target. The other things that's coming out, of course, are about the 2 roommates that lived. They've received a lot of scrutiny. And the docuseries that is out right now and launched July 11th about Bryan Kohberger and the murders. Now, the 2 roommates that One Night in Idaho is a docuseries. Now, the 2 roommates that survived did not participate in this docuseries, but their friends certainly did. And they're explaining for the first time as to why Dylan and Bethany Funk, who lived in the 6-bedroom home, waited hours to call 911. If you followed this story, you know the morning of these murders, the 2 girls tried to call their roommates. They texted their roommates. Nobody answered, of course, because Bryan had murdered them. They were terrified. They were in their bedrooms downstairs. They had locked themselves in their bedrooms. And they basically stayed there frozen, paralyzed for hours until they contacted friends down the street from where they lived to say, hey, something's happened in this house. We need you to come here. By that time, it was 11 a.m. It was light out. The girls had exited the house. Their friends come over. One of the friend immediately, walks into the room, realizes something horrific has happened, calls 911. So I think I know they've gotten a lot of heat about this. It sounds like they were absolutely terrified. One of the girls did open the door at one point, saw Bryan Kohberger, the shadowy figure exiting the house, was absolutely terrified, couldn't remember if it was a dream or not. They'd been out drinking, partying. So, obviously that's what is being said in the docuseries, and a lot of people are supporting them and trying to give them some grace because, would it have mattered if they had immediately called 911? I mean, how will we ever know, right? You can't replay that. You can't replay that. But obviously, I would think if they, again, you don't even know. You don't know when Bryan exited. Sounds like he exited right around 4:45, 5 a.m. after murdering them, but it's so hard to tell. And, they were terrified for their life. It's on Peacock, by the way. One Night in Idaho, The College Murders. It's an Amazon Prime 4-part docuseries that began streaming on July 11th, if you want to watch that. But again, like I said, I was hoping Bryan Khoberger, we would see him die by firing squad, but doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So there you have it. But the book obviously getting a lot of attention out this week as well. Okay, let's talk about something lighter. Love Island. I'm getting caught up on Love Island. Biggest show on TV right now. Biggest show by far. I mean, of course, until Welcome to Plathville drops, which is July 22nd. So we know that's going to be epic. I mean, epic. I'm going to do a whole deep dive on that like this week. If you're not following all the drama with Olivia Plath and Veronica Peters, Micah's ex, you need to get on board. Go to these women's TikTok immediately. They're calling out the network. They're posting videos of these men, being derogatory to them, making threats. I mean, obviously we know Ethan Plath is a homophobe. I don't think that's shocking. The whole family is, and I actually feel horrific for Micah Plath because I feel like this incident that happened after Lydia Plath's wedding where Isaac nearly ripped off his nose, part of that I feel like was aggression towards the fact that, I think there's been a lot of speculation about Micah's sexuality as well. I hate speculating about I could care less what your sexuality is. I really couldn't care less. It's so stupid to me. It's like, it's human nature too for people to experiment. I don't give a fuck who you're fucking as long as they're over 18. Okay? I don't care. It's so stupid. And why people out people. It's horrible. Whitney's husband and The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, all that terrible homophobic stuff about him. And then come to find out he was raped as a child. It's people are so whatever. I honestly, sexuality is so fluid. I mean, anyway, I could go on a whole rant about that. Ethan Plath, to me, obviously he's homophobic. Olivia just dropped these videos while I was on break where they're debating about if they had a trans child. And Ethan was like, I'm getting them therapy and help. They're mentally ill. Oh, okay, I'll go into the whole thing. Do I think that he has been verbally abusive to her, threatened her with guns? Yes, 100%. Did I think that those videos were all that shocking? Not really. I mean, are we shocked that he wouldn't be down with having a trans kid? No, I don't think so. I mean, okay, have we seen Kim and Barry? They wacky as hell. Okay, these two preached to us for the first couple of seasons about the Lord and marriage. Kim couldn't wait to get out of there, get a DUI, and be doing Ken. They're the biggest hypocrites on the planet. Now, do I want this show to go away? No. And Veronica Peters, we'll talk about her later on, who I, again, believe, respect, love, have posted about all things. Miss Veronica has said that the Plaths harass her, show up to her house, and she has asked the network for help, and they refuse. They refuse to help her. And Micah and his brothers are nut jobs who will not leave her alone. And she fears for her safety. I feel for her. I don't know that there's anything anybody can do. Not saying that's right or wrong, but I'm saying if they're driving by your house. You know what I mean? It's that stalking thing, right? These celebrities, Sandra Bullock, have these horrific stalkers that until they like break into your house and nearly murder you, there's like nothing they can do about it, the police. So a lot is going to go down on this show starting July 22nd. A lot. And I think the ratings are going to be huge. That's my only problem with my girls, Olivia and Veronica, who I support. I think raising all this awareness is fantastic. But the problem is, I think we're going to have record breaking like numbers on that show. And then they're going to go on to be getting multiple more seasons. By the way, Olivia Plath not out of her contract with TLC, so she will be on season 7. Okay, so Love Island. I'm getting caught up. I'm not fully there. However, spoiler alert. We did have a finale on Sunday night. We have a season 7 winners who got $100,000. Amaya and Bryan. They are the winners. What do you guys think? Are we happy about them? And they get the bragging rights, of course, as fan favorite couple, and they split the $100K prize. Nick and Alandria were the runner-up couple, thanks to viewers who cast their votes, of course, on Peacock. Iris and Pepe and Huda and Chris also made the final. Of course, the big talk, I feel like, is all about ousted star Cierra Ortega, who is hitting back at criticism and death threats after a racial slur scandal. Get on Reddit. If you, I don't know why. I guess because they still consider themselves legitimate news sources. Why, to me, people aren't. You go to page 6, right? And they go, Ortega receiving death threats. People are threatening to kill her, threatening to report her family to ICE. But then they don't link like what exactly the post was that people are going crazy about. It's an old Instagram post, which I will get to. Ortega goes, really? Is this still about accountability? This is what she wrote this week. She says that she's been called ignorant, racist bitch, a see you next Tuesday, a hoe, and a flop and duck lips. The influencer went on to write a lengthy statement recently telling her followers, unfortunately, for those who wish harm on me, I carry nothing but love in my heart. For my life, the people in it, and every waking moment I get to spend on this earth. She continued, what should be a collective opportunity to address derogatory, sick language and the harm they carry has instead snowballed into an excuse for cruelty. On top of that, so she did a TikTok video. The whole thing in question was an Instagram post where she said she got Botoxed basically to look like she had less Asian eyes, okay? To make her look more awake and to make her look less like she uses a derogatory slur. It begins with C. I'm not going to say it, okay? But like go to Reddit, it's there. And she like dumb, don't like it's stupid, okay? But yeah, all right. You say it, you apologize, you move forward. People are like coming for her so hard, though. I mean, I will tell you, Ortega, I have been canceled. It lasts like a couple weeks and then people will move on. Before Ortega, let's see what else has happened with this. That's it. She just says that her family's been threatened, her parents. And she shared an accountability video in which she acknowledged her use of the offensive word. And she said she had no idea that it carried so much pain. I'm deeply sorry. All right. You learned, you know, if you're being honest, like you did it, you made a mistake, you move on. The people saying, wishing death on her and calling in her family to ICE. I mean, really? To me, I'm always like, are those people real or bots? Is it real or is it like a bot that someone pays for to pile on? Just wondering. Also, we're getting a Love Island season 7 reunion. It's going to be a joint effort between Andy Cohen and Ariana Madix, the host. What do we think? Why are we bringing Andy into this? Isn't that kind of offensive to Ariana? Like, okay, you're not going to really be a strong enough host, so let's bring in Andy Cohen. Anyway, it's going down August 25th, 9 p.m., 6 p.m. on Peacock. The reunion will be filmed in New York City. And Ariana, of course, says that she is thrilled to be co-hosting with Andy. I don't blame her. I would be too. I mean, if Andy Cohen was like, look, we're doing a TSFS reunion, or you and I are teaming up and doing Sister Wives. Not that I don't want my girl Suki. I love my girl Suki, okay? But like if Suki were to retire and Andy and I stepped in, I mean, you wouldn't hear any objections from me. Ariana admitted that she was excited to return to the U.S. after filming Love Island Season 7 in Fiji. Quote, I will be going back to L.A. and I have a long list of things that I need to get done, and I will be back in the sandwich shop in West Hollywood. Please come see us. It's something about her. I'll be there for some time. Now, y'all know I tried something about her a year after my whole rant there when I went on opening day and it went south. You can go back and listen to that episode. Do we really need to rehash it? By the way, some of the sandwiches were good. They just opened almost 20 minutes late. That was my... But maybe, look, Ariana was on a plane to Fiji, so you can only be in so many places at one time, right? There you have it. Okay, tomorrow on the podcast, I am working on more juicy tea from Sister Wives. Did Christine Brown Woolley hire an image consultant? Why fans are saying that? We're going to get into it. And then also, Suki. My interview with Suki has gone viral again, and it's something to do with Robin Brown and her doll collection, her dolls, her $62,000 in dolls. We will talk about that and the Jeffrey Epstein story. Are you all following this? Like, why are we not? We're not getting the Jeffrey Epstein tapes. Well, we got those, but allegedly they've been altered. And we're not getting the Jeffrey Epstein list. Where's the list? I'd say our president is on it. That's what I would say. And probably former President Bill Clinton. And we know that creep, MFer, who's it, Prince Andrew? Ugh. You know he compromised with a bunch of young girls. But I will tell you, I mean, people are furious about this. Republicans are so up in arms. Democrats are so up in arms. We were promised this. This is probably the only conspiracy I do believe in. Like Epstein was so deep into something. I don't know who he's got tape on. But I mean, for now, for us and Pam Bondi, Pam, you got to go, girl. You were the one preaching that you were going to release it all. Okay, we'll get into more of the details tomorrow. Bye, everybody.